one of the first things Jahn did for me was he gave me a shovel and said, go dig. So we figured out how to dig. He sent me to the back of the office back there and said, organize all the fittings. So I got a hands-on what the fittings were.
So learning the fittings is step number one, right?
I had 2 tours at Jahn Johnson. The second tour, I took a lot of what you told us when you said, this is how you run a company. And so we were looking at it and saying, well, these are the things you have to figure out. You have to figure out how to sell it, and you have to make a profit. You can't stay in business. You want to be out there helping people, but if you can't, you don't want to rack up debt because you're helping people.
So you took that and applied that in your own business?
Absolutely.
I actually went to a trade show to see Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth book. The E-Myth is the myth that because you're good at whatever you do, you'd be good running the business of that, right? And I met him, but then I was in a trade show and I just realized how vast our industry is and how much networking is going on and all the new products and stuff. And so now I try not to miss. But I went for years like you, never going to a trade show. Welcome to Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice, the podcast where we bring you a diverse lineup of guests, apprentices, seasoned professionals, visionary entrepreneurs, business owners, and master craftsmen every week. I'm your host, Dennis. Yes, I'm an apprentice because I'm never going to stop learning and trying new things. I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, and I'm a business owner of a Zoom grain franchise in Seattle, Washington. And I'm on a mission to help hardworking young people get a profitable career in the trades without a college education. So this podcast is for people who are visionary entrepreneurs, apprentices in any trade, people who want to start their own business, and even young people without any experience at all. We bring you stories, insights, and experiences that will help you learn from the success and mistakes of guests and even myself. You can find this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's go! Andy Jahn, welcome to Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice at the PHCC booth at the Great Northwest Adventure Show.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Andy, Andy was an apprentice when I first started at Jahn Johnson Plumbing 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
And it's hard to believe that it's been 23 years since then.
It's been 23 years.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you were an apprentice then. All right, so tell me about your journey. Where'd you go from there, and where are you at?
After leaving Jahn Johnson, I went to work with Mr. Reuter for about a year.
Okay.
After that, took about a 6-month break.
Okay.
Had a car accident between there, and so I was just waiting to heal from there. I worked for a couple little small guys, and then I did some new construction for a couple of years. Then worked for another company, and we had our differences, and I thought I could save him a little bit of time and do things different with the crew. And I was shown the door, and so I said, let's see if I can actually do what I thought I can do. And so I started my own company 13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
So how's it going?
It's going. I was looking back, and honestly, I think my track record was about 2 years with any company before I ended up moving on. And looking back, it's like 13 years. Okay, I guess I don't argue with myself that much.
Awesome. So that's one thing. So you don't know anything about Dennis the Apprentice?
I don't.
So we got tired, Kimberly and I got tired of complaining about not finding people. Like, the general complaint.
Yeah.
Can't find good young people anymore. So we literally just quit complaining about it and just started building our own people. And then rather than, if you go to college, you get a syllabus. What class to take, when, English 101, English 102. And the trades is a lot of like the School of Hard Knocks.
Yes, it is.
Type concept. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so part of my premise is every day I do a 1 minute or less video about how to be a better apprentice, how to get more out of your apprenticeship, how to show up, just all those little things that you learn the hard way.
Yes.
So I'm trying to grease those skids and help apprentices along, and it's any trade. If you're an apprentice, it will benefit you. And so I've been doing that for about 3 years.
Wow, that's great.
So, and then just last year, we bought a Zoom grain franchise, and so they put me up in a live podcast at the Wet Show in Indianapolis last year. Okay. And so I podcasted there, and then I did it again at the PHCC Connect, the PHCC National Show, and then at Service World, and now here. So this is the 4th time. So all we do is talk everything about apprenticeships, like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I remember one of the first things Jahn did for me was he gave me a shovel and said, go dig. And
okay.
So we figured out how to dig.
Awesome.
And he sent me to the back of the office back there and said, organize all the fittings. So I got a hands-on what the fittings were and figured out, hey, what's the difference between a medium sweep 90, a long sweep 90, and a short sweep 90? What's the application for that?
Right.
And it was knowing what those were allowed me to help the journeyman when they were like, okay, I need this fitting. I knew what it was.
Right. So learning the fittings is step number one, right?
I don't know if it's step number one, but it's definitely a good step to take.
It's pretty close up there.
Yeah.
Like, I've kind of felt like, wow, maybe a guy should start in the warehouse for 6 months and just know terminology and all the parts first.
Yeah.
Before they ever go. We don't quite do it that way, but that'd be a huge benefit.
Yeah, it's definitely a good benefit.
Cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Andy, how did you find plumbing to start with? Like, how'd you know not to go? Did you go to college or?
No.
Okay. How'd you find the trade?
My parents homeschooled me 8th grade through high school.
Okay.
And part of my homeschooling was to work with the general contractor for my church.
Okay.
So I worked with him for about 4 years, and then when I turned 18, my dad said, "Okay, we're going to start charging you rent." So the $500 a month I was working with him, I needed to make more money. So the janitor at our church worked with Gene Johnson, Rob.
Okay.
And so he took me to work with him one day, and Gene liked me, and I started working there.
Awesome.
That's just kind of how I just got thrown in the water and learned to swim.
Awesome. And now you're in business for yourself.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about business for yourself. How's that?
You know, I had 2 tours at Gene Johnson.
Okay.
The second tour, I took a lot of what you told us when you said, "This is how you run a company."
Okay. We were doing the one-man shop at that time.
We were doing the one-man shop.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
That's right.
And so we were looking at it and saying, well, these are the things you have to figure out. You have to figure out how to sell it, and you have to make a profit, or you can't stay in business.
Right.
You want to be out there helping people, but if you can't, you don't want to rack up debt because you're helping people.
So you took that and applied that in your own business.
Absolutely.
Awesome. You just made my day, Andy. I can't tell you how many guys are out there not charging the right price, struggling, and going out of business and that kind of thing. So you've been in business for 13 years.
Yeah.
So plugging along. So you're probably putting some money away then.
You know what? The other thing I took away, no one's getting rich here.
No.
So I'm not getting rich. I'm paying the bills.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying an arm and a leg of overhead for debt. So
right.
But it is what it is. It costs what it costs to stay in business.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many people think that the owners of any industry, any business are getting a raise. But I was just talking to another owner, and we were just talking about the burden of owning a big shop and all the responsibility that.
Yeah,
so
I was looking at my numbers the other day, thinking, you know, if I could get 3 or 4 people, I could actually lower my rate.
Yeah.
And it was just, you can change the life of 3 or 4 different people by teaching them a trade.
Yeah. And
they can change the course of their entire family.
Yeah. So are you by yourself, or do you have any employees? I
don't have any employees yet.
Okay.
I'm taking the 10-year track to reorganize and set up for have employees. But,
yeah. That's a whole nother ballgame.
No, it is. It's state of Washington doesn't look too kindly on business owners, small business otherwise. But it's, I cringe at the thought of being responsible for people who don't want to be responsible. It's kind of touching back with trying to. Who can you find that's a great person you work with?
Right.
Who's teachable?
Right.
Who's willing to take responsibility and learn? And I don't care if you make a mistake. That's how we learn.
Yeah. We learn more from our mistakes.
Yeah.
I think school teaches not to make a mistake.
Yeah.
But in the trades, that's how we learn.
Yeah.
We try stuff. Do you go to trade shows much?
No, it's actually my first trade show. Darren Calorent just said, "Hey, you just got to go. You got to go. You got to go." I'm going to make work this time, and I had an opening in my schedule, so I just stopped by.
How long have you been here?
I was just filling out the paperwork when I saw Aaron.
Oh my goodness! So we grabbed you right away.
Yes.
Awesome. I didn't go to trade shows for years. I thought I was too busy. I didn't have time for it. But maybe 3 years ago, I started going to. I actually went to a trade show to see Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth book. Which is a lot about contractors, and the E-Myth is the myth that because you're good at whatever you do, you'd be good running the business of that, right? And so I read his book. It's a great. You should read it. It's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It's a classic business book. And I met him, but then I was at a trade show and I just realized how how vast our industry is and how much networking is going on and all the new products and stuff. And so now I try not to miss. So, but I went for years like you, never going to a trade show. Andy right now is doing something that is super good, which is just writing it down right now.
Yes.
Don't.
I will forget. I've learned if I don't write it down, it's gone.
Yeah, it would just go away.
Yes.
So the emails by Michael Gerber, you got to read that and get it on audio probably, but it's a great book,
Yes.
especially as you're looking into starting to add employees eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It talks a lot about systems in place. So one of the premises is that McDonald's is run by teenagers whose parents can't get them to make their own bed,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So that's the power of systems. And you're going to need that if you get in business and start growing. So
Yeah, that's one of the things that's held me back is setting up an employee handbook.
yeah,
All the stuff that I don't know that I don't know.
yeah,
And it's stuff when you have employees, it's not a good move to learn by trial by fire.
right. And well, and you're going to learn whatever you learn, just document it. Just document as you go.
Yeah.
It's way easier to document from the beginning than try to do it like when we did it. You know, we already had 10 or 15 employees when we started documenting stuff, and it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're small and just documenting what you do, this is the way I want it done and why,
Yes.
and documenting that every time, and you'll be so far ahead.
Good info.
Awesome. All right, I'll let you go enjoy the show. So
Alrighty.
glad to see you, Andy.
Good to see you, Dennis.
Best
Thank
of
you so
luck.
much.
You got it. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the show. Did you agree? Did you disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Making the trades the place to be for young people is a team effort. So share this with someone and help us all out.